first heard about the Folkpartiet, I thought, these are probably pretty good guys. They're a party fighting for the folk. They're a party for the people. I love folk. I'm folk, you're folk, we're all folk. But then I started to wonder, what kind of folk exactly are you guys all about? Is it just Swedish folk, or is it all folk? Is it black folk, white folk, rich folk, poor folk, racist folk, folk like Simon and Garfunkel folk, racist folk, moms I'd like to folk. So I looked into the important issues that the Folkpartiet stands for, and I was pretty disappointed. It's all just a bunch of boring old political talking points where they're not really saying anything. They're all about, we stand for jobs and the economy and schools and education and immigration. And it's like, for God's sakes, Folkpartiet, can't you just pick one radical issue to really say what you're all about and stand the fuck out? It's like the Pirate Party. They got the whole fuck the man and give us free porn. And, the feminists, they're all about, we have pussies and give us power. I even respect the Swedish Democrats for how radical they are. I don't agree with racism, but at least they fucking own it. And then you got the Folkpartiet. They're just like, oh, we're just some folk trying to help all the folk. Boring, man. There is one issue that the Folkpartiet stands for that's a little unique, and that's that they're very pro-EU, and they want Sweden to adopt the euro. I have mixed feelings about these issues. I think the EU is great, but I don't know why Sweden needs to get any tighter into it. It's kind of like right now Sweden and the EU are fuck buddies, and then the Folkpartiet's coming in like, oh my god, this is so great, we should move in together and get married and meet each other's parents and have a dog and kids and oh my god, I'm planning the wedding right now. If Sweden adopts the euro, it could be very risky and bad for Sweden because, there's all those shitty, lazy nations that keep mooching off of the rest of Europe. But then again, as an American, it is pretty annoying for me to always have to mentally calculate this weird exchange rate into crowns. You guys are one step away from being the Zimbabwe currency, where $1 million Zimbabwe dollars equals 50 cents. So I could live with the euro. But I don't really trust the Folkpartiet on a lot of these economic issues that they love so much. Because, when you read their party program, you keep seeing this, globalization is amazing. Globalization creates opportunities for millions of people around the world. Opportunities for Chinese and Bangladeshi kids to work 14 hours in a factory because of the free trade agreements that the Folkpartiet fights for. Globalization doesn't create opportunities for people all around the world. It creates opportunities for people like you, Folkpartiet. By the way, in 2003, the Folkpartiet also supported the super successful invasion of Iraq, something I'm sure they did only out of their love for Iraqi folk. The Folkpartiet says they support things like immigration, but I don't think they really like the immigration of people as much as they like the immigration of money into their pockets. They say globalization is great because it solves global problems, but I think they just want to get global profits. Speaking of the Folkpartiet's politicians, I have a little bit of gossip. One of their leaders named Nyamko Sabuni, I can never pronounce Swedish names, well apparently she got her folk on with Fredrik Reinfeldt and created an alliance of bodily fluids, if you know what I mean. He's a real PM. Pussy magnet. Overall, I don't really trust the Folkpartiet because, they try to present themselves as liberal and diverse and open-minded, but at the end of the day, I think they're just all about the money. They're kind of like the political equivalent of those shitty inspirational posters that hang in offices, where they have a picture of an inspirational sunset and then an empty word like dream or believe or achieve. But they're really just hanging there just to make the bosses more money and keep you working. When it comes to Folkpartiet, I say, fuck these folk and don't give them your vote. I hope you enjoyed my expert American opinion on the Folkpartiet. Make sure to leave a comment if you have any thoughts about these folk, and subscribe to this channel for more of my commentary on this year's election. Ha det bra, gott folk, and remember, achieve.